So Zmira said, speak about your mother, or can you speak about your mother? And Torah learning, women's Torah learning. And it's like, for those who knew her, is there anyone besides for my sister and my aunts here who knew her? So for those who knew her, it's like saying, yes, that's the same thing, talking about your mother and Torah learning. Like that's what she was about, right? She was always going to Shurim, organizing Shurim, hosting Shurim, learning anything she could learn to improve, to increase her knowledge and to grow, always open to learn from, really personifying the saying, Ezehu chacham halomed mikol adam. There was no one that she thought, like, I can't learn from them. Anyone, whether it was a child, a grown-up, anyone from anywhere, she was always open to learning. So I wanted to just say a few things that came up for me when I was thinking about my mother and about, she passed away Erev Shavuos, the day before she was Hey Sivan, 16 years ago. We were all with her children, besides from my brother who was in Israel, holding her hand, singing her songs, and it was very appropriate in a way that she managed to count the Sphira all the way through, almost till the end. The last few days she wasn't able to speak anymore. And I remember the last time I was with her in the hospital and she asked me for a pen and a paper. She was signing and I brought her, I didn't know what she wanted. And she wrote down the number of the Sphira. That was her way of counting. It wasn't 49, I think it was 47 or 48 because I don't think she was conscious anymore at the end, right at the end. So she went through the hachana for being Mekabel the Torah, and then she went up there to be Mekabel the Torah all the way. And we remain here to try and do our best over here. What I wanted to come up with a question, which is a bit of a funny question to ask over here, is why are we here? Why do women learn Torah? Anyone? Yeah. To teach children, okay.
Raise a home.
To raise a home, thank you. So to teach the children to raise a home. To be a better Jew.
To teach others.
To teach others. To teach ourselves simcha and kavod for others, as Rav was speaking about before. Okay, thank you. To make a dwelling place for Hashem in the world.
To increase our emunah.
To increase our emunah. Okay, great. I don't have to say anything anymore. Sorry. Kihem chayenu. That's our life. Okay, yeah. To teach us?
To teach us to use knowledge for good.
Okay, to teach us to use knowledge for good and not for evil. Thank you. Yes. That's quite exceptional nowadays. I thought the first thing that came to my mind was we learn Torah to know what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Halacha, right? We try and keep halacha. We try and keep, all the halachas that pertain to us nowadays. And we are obligated as women to learn that so that we know what to do and what not to do. But there's a whole other aspect of Torah learning that's I think, and that's why it's funny to ask it here, because we all here. So I'm kind of speaking to the converted, and I don't mean to preaching to the choir, as you say. But really, I come to say Yishar Koach to all of you and to the OU for doing this, because you enable everyone to learn, and the ones who come to learn, we are all, growing thanks to your learning. So I remember when I was studying and we were learning physiology, and we learned about, the neurons in the brain and how the brain works. And this moment, eureka moment of like understanding suddenly that everything in our body, like I remember the professor was like saying, like, if you prick your finger isn't hurting. The pain is here in your head. Everything happens in the brain. And when the more, like now it kind of seems really obvious. But at the time I remember being like, what? Like, so nothing actually happens anywhere else but in the brain? That's like, so everything, the fact that my hand just moved, the fact that I can speak, the fact that it's all from the brain goes down to, the atzavim, nerves, thank you, all in the rest of my body, and it's all directed from here, which is the same in the spiritual world and in the world of Torah and as you said, like, we want to be besimcha, and we want to have kavod, and we want to behave in a certain way, and it all comes from here. It all comes from the knowledge that we have and from what we choose to expose ourselves to in terms of content and in terms of the people that we surround ourselves with, and in terms of, so the fact that you are all here learning Torah and enriching yourselves with Torah and with words of wisdom and words of truth means that we are more likely to bring that into our lives in the day-to-day and it elevates us every day. So that's part of the learning Torah. Is part of it is what do we do and how do we do it, and part of it is just to elevate ourselves. Now Mira asked for a title. I said, let's call this the upgraded roadmap. And the reason why I said that is because let's say we're driving from here to Miron, as what a lot of people did recently. And you follow a map pre-Waze days. So let's follow a map, and you can get from A to B, you can get from Yerushalayim to Miron, and you can get there, and you can get to your destination, get exactly to where you want to go. But imagine you have an upgraded roadmap, and it tells you, right over here, go 100 meters off the main path, and there's a stunning lookout point. And then it tells you, and right over there, just take the exit, and go to the left, and then turn right, and you'll see the most incredibly beautiful waterfall. And so you reach the destination, but having taken in so much beauty and so much, and being so energized from what you've seen on the way. So we can't just get to our destination, we can't just get to doing what we need to do and what we have to do, but we can also enrich ourselves with so much more, thanks to learning Torah. Now there's like the Rav was saying earlier in terms of like not having space on the bookshelf for more books. There are thousands and thousands of books. There's lots of different things that we can learn. And especially as women, we don't have a chiyuv to learn a certain thing, or we don't have to learn Gemara, we don't have to learn, there's nothing but besides for the halachas that we have to learn, we can choose. And we can choose what it is that puts us on fire. What is it that lights up our souls, and to say, what works for me? And what works for me isn't what works for you, and it's not what works for the next person. And what you were saying about, we're here to teach our children. What works for me might not be what works for my child or my student, and so I need to kind of try and adapt, what I bring into the picture. And what worked for me last week or last year or yesterday might not work for me today. So it's like open up my heart and my mind to like, okay, what do I need? I need some inspiration in terms of tefillah, or I want to hear more, or I want to learn the Ramban or the Rambam, or I want to have more machshava, I want to learn Rav Dessler, whatever it is that like is the right thing for me to say, this is going to energize me, this is going to fill me, this is going to be my waterfall today, my stunning lookout point, my view, this is going to infuse me with energy. I'll say something. This was one of the things. It's a pasuk in Yeshayahu, Perek Mem, pasuk Lamed Aleph. This is one thing I got really laughed at once because I said it's a song, and I said it the way it's in the song, and then someone looked at me and said, "That's not the pasuk." It says, "V'kova Hashem yachalifu koach, ya'alu ever kansharim." So the ones who hope to Hashem, who look at Hashem, yachalifu koach, they will have renewed strength. Yalu ever kansharim. Yarutzu v'lo yigau. Yelchu v'lo yafu. And what I said is yelchu v'lo yafu. And it was like, that's not a pasuk. That's whoever's singing it. So Yarutzu v'lo yigau is they will. So those who hope to Hashem, they will run and they won't get tired. So we can get there. Yeah, you run, you get tired. So you run and you won't get tired. But what does it mean? Yelchu v'lo yafu. Why would you get tired from walking? Walking, you can go kind of quite a bit. Usually, when you're in a good state and healthy, then you can go and walk and walk and walk. And usually, you don't get tired so quickly from walking. And one of the explanations is that the yelchu, just from the daily living, it's like someone once said, this is this quote we used to have at home, that anyone can deal with a crisis, but it takes a lot more to deal with daily life. Just a daily grind can make us really tired. Just a daily, like getting through a regular day. And that's where we need Yalu Ever Kansharim, is to have the limbs, to have the strength, like an eagle or a vulture, depending on the different people translate it differently. So now Kansharim brought up for me something that I heard from Rav Dovber Friedman from Antwerp, and he once said that it says in Pirkei Avos, the different animals that we should try and emulate in terms of their strength, that we should try and emulate and bring into our Avodat Hashem. ואז כנמר וקל כנשר רץ קצי וגיבור קרעי לעשות רצון אביך שבשמיים. Now, what does it say? Hevei as kanamar kal kanesher. Be light as an eagle. Now, an eagle or vulture, depending on whatever it is probably the heaviest flying animal that there is. So why does it say kal kanesher? To say kal ka notza, like a feather, or kal ka yona, like a dove or a pigeon, or butterfly? Why a nesher? Why kal kanesher? How is a nesher kal? So the thing is that a nesher is not kal. We are also not. We have a big part of us that is putting us down. It's heavy. Life, the daily grind can be heavy. But hebe kal kanesher means to fill it up with spirit and with light and with whatever makes us light. Like I'm thinking of a hot air balloon, and then it goes up, and it becomes light because we fill it up with hot air. It becomes light because we fill it up with inspiration and with joy, and with the joy of just enriching ourselves with the beauty that it is in Torah. It's like someone once said to me, what's the difference between a rock and a balloon? The rock is heavy because it's full, it's dense, it's full, and the balloon is light because it's full of air. So you fill it up with spirit, you fill it up with something that lifts you up, and then you can soar and you can fly like an eagle. So that's a little bit of kind of encouraging us to learn, which I don't really need to do here because everybody here came to learn. So well, yishar koach to you, and that's what you choose to do with your time, and that's what my mother, Aliyah Shalom, used to do with her time, day in, day out, a lot. Just yesterday, a high school teacher of mine called me up, and she said, how many years has it been? And I said, 16. And she said, are you sure? And she was like, really? It seems like just 5 or 6 years ago. And she said, everybody who knew her, it just looks like it was just now, because she had such a big impact on whoever knew her. And she's very much present with us, for those who knew her, and hopefully for those who didn't, in this way. So I thank you very much for allowing me to share with you. And I think one more thing. We say at the end of so just to kind of add on to something I said before. I said everyone should kind of have the opportunity to choose and to find what speaks to them and what makes them saw. And that way, when I came back from seminary, from my year in Israel, there wasn't really anything going on in terms of, like, in Belgium, in terms of shiurim or things like that for girls. It was like over 20 years ago. It was kind of, okay, you went to SEM, you went to school, you went to SEM, you've done it, like now you can start living your life. And my mother was very much into, like, this constant learning, so she encouraged me hugely with this wanting to set up shiurim, and we set up, and she opened our home, and we had shiurim twice a week for girls who had finished seminary, finished high school. And one of our teachers who taught us there, she said, the reason why you should come and learn forever is because it's like now it's easy to know, to like think about. It's like a phone. When the battery is dead, it's dead. Can't do anything. And you need to plug it in to charge. And learning is our way of plugging in. And the way, and now I'm adding on to what she said, is the same way that you have different sources of power. You have solar power, you have wind power, you have nuclear power, and depending on what works for you in this moment, the different things that can inspire you, so go for it. So that's what we should go for. And that's what we say. I'm going to finish with this, as we finish in Shemona Esrei. I say, Yehi Ratzon, שיבנה בית המקדש במהרה בימינו, ושם נאהבת רביו כי מועד המחשב מקדמניה. So we say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we daven that Hashem should rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, and that we should be zecher to serve Him in the Beis HaMikdash. Now, in the middle of that, surprisingly, we kind of add in something that doesn't seem to belong there. We say, "V'sen chelkeinu b'toratecha." Like, what does that have to do with, like, bring the Beis HaMikdash so that we may serve you there? But in the middle, there's "V'sen chelkeinu b'toratecha," because it's only at the time of the Beis HaMikdash that we will each have our real own chelek, chelkeinu, each have our own chelek in Torah that will be complete. And maybe also the way to get to the Beis HaMikdash, to get there, is for each of us to try as much as possible to develop and to acquire our own individual, unique part of Torah. So may we be zecher this Shavuos and always to continue learning and growing.